Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Our top story, President Trump heading to China. Trump says he will have a long talk with China's Xi Jinping about Iran, though he does not think he needs Xi's help.
I don't think we need any help with Iran, to be honest with you. They're defeated militarily.
The U.S. sanctioning China again, targeting 12 companies accused of helping transport Iranian oil to China. It aims to cut off funding for Tehran's military and nuclear programs. A California mayor working for Beijing. The Justice Department says she agreed to plead guilty to acting as an agent for the Chinese Communist Party. The trial involving a man allegedly opening up a Chinese police station in New York at China's directive is now coming to an end. The jury is beginning deliberations in the case. And a suspected Chinese intelligence operative accused of offering thousands of dollars for insider U.S. policy information, how a congressional staffer helped blow the scheme wide open. A high-stakes meeting drawing the world's attention. President Trump is on his way to meet Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Before the trip, Trump said he will have a long talk with Xi about the war in Iran during his upcoming trip to China. He added that Xi could help resolve the conflict, but said he does not need his help.
Do you think President Xi can help and contribute to a deal with Iran?
He could. I mean, it might be.
Yeah.
I don't think we need any help with Iran, to be honest with you. They're defeated militarily. And they'll either do the right thing or we'll finish the job.
Critical issues are on the table, including Iran, rare earths, Taiwan, and trade. A White House official previously said Trump will urge Xi to pressure Iran. Meanwhile, the U.S. and Iran remain at an impasse in the Middle East. On Monday, Trump said the ceasefire is on life support, calling Tehran's response to a U.S. peace proposal unacceptable.
It was just unacceptable. They have no air force, they have no anti-aircraft, they have no radar. And frankly, their leaders have been killed at the first level, second level, and half at the third level. And then they come back and they want to negotiate, and they give us it's a stupid proposal, and nobody would take it. But the plan is they cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they didn't say that in their letter.
The U.S. also upping pressure on China over Iran on Monday. The Treasury Department slapped sanctions on 12 targets for helping Iran send oil to China. That's as Washington's push to cut off funding for Tehran's military and nuclear programs. China has been assisting Iran by buying its oil and exporting dual-use parts. A U.S. official said this would be discussed at the Trump-Xi summit. The administration has repeatedly called on China to apply pressure to Iran, as the closure of the Strait of Hormuz could impact China's economy.
China is an export-driven economy. That means they depend on other countries to buy from them. Well, you can't buy from them if you can't ship it there, and you can't buy from them if your economy is being destroyed by what Iran is doing.
The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has disrupted China's oil supply. Meanwhile, China appears to have extended olive branches ahead of the meeting. Beijing's central bank said its currency exchange rate against the dollar at its strongest level in more than 3 years. It's good for U.S. exports. On top of that, Chinese and U.S. authorities jointly arrested 5 suspects in a drug smuggling operation Monday. It marks progress on a key issue Washington has made a top priority. Trade is another major focus of the summit. The White House says Americans can expect the president to announce more trade deals. More than a dozen CEOs are joining him on the trip, including Elon Musk, Tim Cook, and executives from Boeing, Meta, and GE Aerospace. Worth noting, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang was not on the list. It's unclear why. Meanwhile, tensions over Taiwan are simmering. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te thanked the U.S. Tuesday for helping strengthen its military against China as Trump left for his China trip. Lai said Taiwan would not yield to pressure.
The people of Taiwan know very well that democracy is earned, not given. The people of Taiwan have never backed down in the face of mounting external challenges, and they will never bow to pressure. Taiwan is a sovereign, independent nation.
Taiwan remains one of the biggest flashpoints in U.S.-China relations. President Trump says he will bring up U.S. arms sales to Taiwan with China.
Well, I'm going to have that discussion with President Xi. President Xi would like us not to, and I'll have that discussion. That's one of the many things I'll be talking about.
The U.S. is Taiwan's most important international backer, even though the two do not have formal diplomatic ties. It's also Taiwan's main arms supplier, something that continues to anger China, which has repeatedly called for an end to U.S. weapons sales. In addition to money and war, human rights issues are also on the table. President Trump says he will raise the case of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai with Xi Jinping.
People would like him out, and I'd like to see him get out too. So I'll bring him up again. I have brought him up.
Lai is a prominent pro-democracy activist in Hong Kong. He's been sentenced to 20 years in prison under Beijing's national security law. Trump also said he would bring up Pastor Ezra Jing, pastor of Zion Church and father of a U.S. citizen. Other Chinese people suffering under the ruling of the communist regime are also seeking for help from the president. In Shanghai, 5 Chinese citizens are urging Trump to highlight these cases. One of them, Song Jiahong, told the Epoch Times that people who defend their rights are often arrested and detained. A U.S. mayor and a Chinese spy. A disturbing story of an American politician doing the bidding of Beijing. The Justice Department says a California mayor has agreed to plead guilty to operating as an agent of the Chinese Communist Party. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more.
Arcadia Mayor Eileen Wong resigned yesterday from her position after being charged with secretly carrying out the directives of a foreign government. Wong was voted onto the Arcadia City Council in November 2022 and was mayor when the charges were brought. The position of mayor rotates among the 5-member council. Arcadia is about 13 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. Wong resigned following the announcement of the charges. Court documents say Wong and her fiancé and campaign treasurer Yao Ning Mike Soon of Chino Hills worked on behalf of instructions from Chinese regime operatives from late 2020 through 2022. The two ran a site called U.S. News Center, marketed to the local Chinese American community as a news outlet. But prosecutors say in reality, it was used to spread CCP propaganda. According to Wong's plea agreement, a Chinese official sent her pre-written content on WeChat in 2021, denying genocide and forced labor allegations in Xinjiang and accusing critics of trying to undermine China. Prosecutors say Wong uploaded the article to her website within minutes and sent the link to the official, to which he replied, "So fast, thank you everyone." By August 2021, prosecutors say Wong was editing articles at an official's request and forwarding screenshots showing how many views the articles were receiving. After a post showed over 15,000 views, the official said, "Great," and Wong wrote back, "Thank you, leader." Wong acknowledged in her plea agreement that she never notified the Attorney General that she was working as a CCP operative, and she never disclosed on her website that some of its content had been published at the direction of CCP officials. Court filings also show Wong corresponded in November 2021 with John Chen, identified as a senior figure in the CCP's intelligence structure, who attended elite CCP functions and met personally with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Chen was sentenced in November 2024 to 20 months in federal prison after pleading guilty to acting as an illegal Chinese agent and conspiracy to bribe a public official. Wong faces up to 10 years in prison. The FBI commented on the case, saying it will continue working to safeguard the integrity of elections and keep hostile actors from undermining the voices of the American people. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
The trial involving a Chinese American allegedly opening up a Chinese police station in Manhattan is now coming to an end. The defendant was arrested 3 years ago on charges tied to allegations that he conspired to act as an illegal foreign agent of China. NTD's Flora Hua was there in the courtroom.
The trial involving defendant Lu Jianwang has now entered its final stage. He's accused of taking orders from Chinese Communist Party officials to open a Chinese police station in New York, and also allegedly to verify, monitor, and locate Chinese dissidents in the United States. On Tuesday, both federal prosecutors and his defense attorney delivered their closing arguments. Lu Jianwang migrated to the U.S. more than 40 years ago. He speaks little English and spent much of his life within New York's Chinese community. He's been a longtime leader for his hometown association, Changle. Changle is where the Chinese police station was set up. Compared to the U.S., Lu appeared to have greater access and influence while in China. For example, prosecutors point to his long-standing ties to the Chinese Communist Party even before the police station was established. Multiple photos recovered from Liu's phone show him attending CCP political meetings in China. More recently, evidence collected from Liu's phone showed him attended the launch meeting for the overseas Chinese police station in February 2022. One video shows him standing alongside 5 armed police officers. When the FBI became aware of Liu's activities and searched the police station in Changle, Liu deleted calls with his Chinese handler and other co-conspirators. That led to one of the charges in this trial, obstruction of justice. What's more, FBI agents found contact information for 50 MPS officers in Liu's phone. MPS stands for China's Ministry of Public Security. The agency combines law enforcement and intelligence functions in China. It also helps the Chinese regime suppress dissidents. One MPS officer, Liu Rongyan, is accused of acting as Liu's handler, tasking Liu with matters tied to the Chinese police station and helping locate a Chinese dissident. But prior to that, in 2018, the defendant sent pictures of Falun Gong practitioners in yellow shirts, with some of them appearing to hand out flyers. The person receiving Liu's photos was the Chinese Police Bureau chief. Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, is a spiritual discipline rooted in Buddhist tradition. The faith group has been severely persecuted under the Communist Party since 1999. The Spain-based organization Safeguard Defenders first published a report on China's overseas police stations, calling them part of the regime's campaign of transnational repression. The report says Falun Gong is among the groups the CCP seeks to target beyond China's borders. Zooming out, if Liu is convicted on all counts, he could face up to 20 years in prison. The jury is now beginning deliberations in Liu's case. I'll bring you the latest updates on the verdicts. Reporting from Brooklyn, New York, Flora Hua, NTD News.
A $10,000 offer, allegedly from a Chinese intelligence operative, in exchange for insider U.S. policy information. The House Select Committee on China says one of its staffers reported and exposed the incident Monday.
The House committee says a man identifying himself as a Singapore-based business consultant by the name of Chris Chen reached out to one of its staffers this past winter. They say the man offered $10,000 in exchange for information about the committee's work and U.S. foreign policy about China, especially regarding Venezuela and rare earth minerals. The House committee says its staffer reported and documented the encounter to the committee, and they are referring the case to the FBI. The panel concludes the man is likely a Chinese intelligence officer or contractor seeking a new recruit. The committee says, quote, "This is exactly why the Select Committee on China exists, to shine a light on the CCP's efforts to infiltrate our institutions and to fight to protect U.S. national security."
Coming up, a widening investigation into U.S.-funded biolabs overseas, including the infamous Wuhan lab. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence is now probing more than 120 foreign labs tied to U.S. taxpayer funding. And from Chinese influence operations to espionage concerns on American soil, states are stepping in where Washington is struggling. The founder of State Shield on new efforts to push back against the Chinese Communist Party.
The responsibility was falling back on the states, which we're no strangers to, especially coming out of COVID. So we had already been pursuing it, but we put a new sense of energy to it, and we've been very successful passing this at the state level.
More on that after the break here on China in Focus. Welcome back to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Now to growing scrutiny over U.S.-funded biolabs overseas, including the infamous Wuhan lab. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is investigating more than 120 foreign biolabs funded with U.S. taxpayer dollars over the past decades. In a statement to the New York Post, Gabbard said the probe aims to, quote, identify where these labs are, what pathogens they contain, and what research is being conducted. This comes after President Trump signed an executive order last year banning federal funding for so-called gain-of-function research. Those are experiments that can make viruses or other germs spread more easily or become more dangerous. The order focuses on China, Iran, and other nations that don't exercise proper oversight. U.S.-funded foreign labs extend into more than 30 countries. More than $1.4 billion in U.S. taxpayer money was spent on such research outside the U.S. between 2014 and 2023 to help other countries with virus research. Some of these experiments involved bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, also known as the Wuhan Lab. It was a central focus of the debate over the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's commonly believed that the virus may have leaked from the lab and then spread globally, claiming millions of lives. From Chinese influence operations to espionage on American soil, states are increasingly stepping in where Washington has struggled to act. In part 2 of our interview, State Shield's founder and CEO Joe Gebiet Sr. unpacks how lawmakers across the country are pushing back against the Chinese Communist Party. Take a look.
We have some tremendous former members of the military that are now leading the Senate, and our legislator there from the House was a brand new one-year veteran, and boy, I'm telling you what a team they turned out to be. And they took the FARA bill, our Foreign Agents Registration Act. Now this is really, really important. It's a federal bill, but unfortunately the Justice Department, Federal Justice Department, DOJ, is not enforcing it. They're using the resources that would have been spent on that to take care of what is obviously what they consider to be bigger problems. And so that meant the responsibility was falling back on the states, which we're no strangers to, especially coming out of COVID. So we had already been pursuing it, but we put a new sense of energy to it, and we've been very successful passing this at the state level. It's a little harder to get it done when you have to do it one at a time, but it's definitely worth the effort. And the whole program there is, if you're going to have an agent from a foreign country, if you're going to have a representative who's representing of what's considered to be, quote unquote, a country of concern, and that is defined by the Commerce Department. It's either China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea at this time. So this mandates that if you are representing a country of concern, or as stated by that state legislature, you have to admit it up front. So everybody listening to you and hearing you knows what vantage point you're coming from and what you're trying to do. Now, what they did in Indiana is they also coupled it with a bill that we have that's called our Higher Education Bill. And the Higher Education Bill says federally that if you take money from China, which is the main culprit here, and Qatar, if you take money that is $250,000 or more, you have to report it. Well, everybody knows it doesn't take $250,000 to buy what you want from people in the educational field, especially the research people. They can pay these professors $100,000, $150,000 and be just as successful. Now, a lot of times these professors, in the previous years, it was regarded as being part of the expansion of the WTO, where China got permission to do things that hadn't been done before, and we had exchange students going back and forth. China was very, very aggressive in bringing professors over to China, introducing them, wining them, dining them, cajoling them. But the purpose all along was to try and get them in their midst so they could be doing espionage for China. That's been proven time and time and time again. They're looking for IP, looking for intellectual property, research information that they could send back to China. And China, as you well know, you've reported on this, Xi Jinping passed a law, I think in both 2017 and 2018, that mandated if you were a nationalist Chinese and you were abroad, you had to buy on behalf of China. Hence, they have police stations.
I mean, with that case and so many others, there's more and more of awareness of what's now called transnational repression, or Beijing's long arm, right, where they're reaching beyond their own borders to go after dissidents, even critics, people who don't have family inside China but who criticize the Chinese Communist Party, to try and silence them. And that's multiple ways, as you're mentioning, some even, physical violent assaults to go after them. All of these crazy cases, honestly. But I think a lot of that growing awareness is through work like what you do at State Shield at the state level, where there is that educating of the state level legislators about what's happening, what they can do about it. So we're not just waiting for the federal government one day to wake up and protect us all, right? Where there's a lot of different things at play at that federal level. For all the people listening today who are very inspired by what you're doing at State Shield and they want you to come to their state, what's your advice to them?
Well, we focus principally on state legislators, working with governors, as I said, and state legislators on passing. If you have an interest in assisting in what we do at a state level, we'll definitely work to try and coordinate with you. Sometimes it's a helping to get the message out for support of legislation that individuals can go and petition their representatives. That's always very helpful. We're always looking for that type of assistance. If you have ideas of things that need to be addressed, we're very nimble in what we do. I have a very, very, very excellent staff. We have a top-notch policy writer. We have a comms team. Our legal is very good. We travel state to state, and we offer to provide testimony and hearings in support of legislation. We're as active as we can be. Yeah, sure, you can go to state-shield.com and you can reach out to me, leave a message. We respond to everything. We're like number 2 and trying to be number 1.
I mean, very incredible. Joe, Gerbia, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. And I really enjoy your show. And thanks for everything you're doing for America. Thank you.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi on Tuesday. Bessent said the two discussed the importance of the U.S.-Japan relationship ahead of the Trump-Xi summit. He also said he had great confidence Japan will guide its central bank toward a very successful monetary policy.
We both believe that excess volatility is undesirable, and we have been in close contact with the Ministry of Finance, and we will stay in close contact with them.
The meeting came after a sudden jump in the Japanese yen, which brokers said was likely a rate check. Bessent said Takaichi and he agreed that excessive volatility is undesirable and that the U.S. and Japan will maintain close coordination in responding to sharp currency moves. Bessent is set to meet Chinese Vice Premier He Feng on Wednesday. That's all for today's China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. If you have any feedback on the show or have something you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at chinainfocus@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you. For on-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.